Greetings, citizens. Justiguy has arrived, and this is Higurashi no Tsumihoroboshi, Chapter 9. I should apologize, Serena. I don't think I believed you. Okay, who are we talking to? Oh, is it Keiichi? I think it's Keiichi. Oh, yeah. It's white text, so we're Keiichi. I'm really sorry about that. It's okay, Keiichi-kun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught. Who are they? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama? Oh, we gotta deal with that too? Cool, cool. Oh, listen to this music. This is a new track. I think they don't realize that they're pawns. I'm sure the mastermind our masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling the strings behind the scenes ever since the damn conflict. I heard that people working for the Sonozaki family did something similar during the damn conflict itself. Yes, everyone knows that. Oishi-san told me that. Oh, Mr. Delicious, I missed you! Oishi-san told me that there was a kidnapping incident during the damn conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the damn construction. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Is that appropriate, Shock? Hey, I never heard about that before. The minister submitted to their demands and they made a deal behind the scenes. That's why the event itself, the incident, never went public. Oishi-san only knows about it because he was in charge of the case. Okay. And? According to Oishi-san, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police knew that the Sonozaki family gave orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At that time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, had announced a plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attack corps using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki family's command. He was very serious about this plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction. Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam project even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. That plan sounded just like... Dude, what the fuck? I mean, I don't remember if you're wrong or not, but dude, what the fuck? In the end... No, I don't think it... Was it her? I do remember a scene of young Mion talking to Oryo. Shit, it might have been her. Shit. In which case, I can't go, what the fuck? I have to go, wow, Keiichi, you're so perceptive. Shit. Anyway. In the end, the plan ended up as nothing more than that. But the Special Attack Corps actually did undergo training, and very high-level training at that. Oishi had uncovered the information right after the damn conflict ended. At that time, Oryo even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Onigafuchi Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. So because Oryo was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the damn conflict started to heat up, in case their resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America having received a huge amount of money from Oryo for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryo after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. This is kind of news to me. I feel like when it was we witnessed the kidnapping back in Himatsubushi, and this was, I don't remember this. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. It sounds like it's from a movie or something. You remember how Mi-chan said that she could do anything from flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. Yeah, she did say that. Mion, you kind of fucked up. Seems like Mi-chan joined in their training. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Mion went to it. Mion didn't go to America. Right now, Mion didn't go to America. That's silly. You're silly. That's silly. Right? So that was all true? Well, let's put that aside for now. Well, is it or isn't it? Anyway, you have to at least believe that the death squad actually exists in Hinamizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of a government minister. I didn't take a close look at the 4 men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. Yeah. So that basically means everything she's saying is true. Pretty much. They were pretending to just take a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you? I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be already dead. So, what do they want? Are they after Kano-san's scrapbooks? Like you saw yourself, the group is very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep. They haven't done that yet, so that must mean they're taking it cautiously, right? They're probably not sure that I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them. They found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the one who has them. But they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence. Anna, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game. Yeah, I'm a bit scared. But they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens. What did he say about them? He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so that he could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes. Did you tell him about the scrapbooks? No, I didn't. I think you should. He is an officer. I'm sure the police will help you. Eiichi-kun, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me if I told him any of this. Anna, let's not make it more confusing than it already is. Just tell me. What is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mio-san? Simply put, if the things written in that scrapbook are true, the god they worship will be dethroned. Their god dethroned? Yes. The sanctity of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect people's belief in Oyashiro-sama. Rena, can you explain it a little more simply than that? I'm confused. In other words, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god! I think the thing is, Keiichi is going like, well, yeah, no shit. He isn't? Okay, maybe not. I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believed so strongly in Oyashiro-sama. There are many teachings of Oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village, and don't let anybody into the village. One could even say that the rest of his teachings were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later on that they added aspects like love your neighbor or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. Is viewed as a god of marriage? Oh yeah, I knew that. That's where daybreak comes from. I knew that. That's funny. In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all that for them, but the truth is that the people abused his name for that purpose generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onigafuchi Swamp and attacked people. In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked others when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp. Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird, infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story of the demons that came out of Onigafuchi Swamp. It actually explains the legend. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country? Yes. Yes? I mean, yes, I knew that. That's not exactly correct, but he was something like that, yeah. He came to Onigafuchi, and he treated the infectious disease. But he couldn't cure it for good. All his treatments could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. The people who knew that Stantoko was right, and the people who were wrong and sided with Rika, those foul bastards. I mean, yeah, what? One group was made up of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp, but they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of their water sources, including Onigafuchi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and coexist with the parasite. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them. That's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon. That's right, and Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village and to never let anybody into the village. I understand why he didn't want to let anybody new into the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else. But I don't understand why he didn't want people to leave. The same fucking reason, you moron! It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. Oh, maybe not. It causes an outbreak of the symptoms in order to prevent the hosts from leaving the village when they try. That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. Excuse me. That was what it really meant to be demoned away. Wait a second, Nuna. That means everybody in the village, including you and I, are infected, but nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa. You're right. That's because things went as Oyashiro-sama thought they would. Do you understand? He isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the hosts, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host, too. I see. You're talking about natural selection. Good thinking, Keiichiko. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. Just in the back of my mind, I had this flickering thought of, it's like if we were breeding Pokemon, except the rare one was a crazy murderer. You know, I'm just seeing like egg charts and breeding egg moves and all this stuff in my head. I'm not gonna continue that thought. The strong parasites that made you. I'm sorry. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood that's written in the legend of Oyashiro-sama. So that means the parasite is almost harmless now. Yes. According to Mio-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. Well, yeah. It depends on the local food culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat is a staple food are infected by parasites. But because the parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them, treats them, or tries to get rid of them. I see. In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawatanagashi. Harawatanagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It said the people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy. Nani? It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do. Eating the infected people. Are you talking about a vaccine? You mean people back then were still that much smarter than people now? Da da da. You're very smart, Geichi-kun. Neo-san also interpreted it just like you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. They created a vaccine from the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites, and that helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system. Who was Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he German? The true identity of Oyashiro-sama, a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck? I think that'd be the most likely answer. Ow, 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 ow. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort. It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind old legends. I don't think that in a story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential to us staying alive. Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see, I see. This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? Why are we bringing up termites? They would, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, termites can also absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites. I didn't know that. When I hear the words parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively, but now I know some of them aren't so bad to us. So, the weird infectious disease that broke out from Onigafuchi Swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated. I should say it's harmless now. I thought it was a crazy story at first, but now I feel like I just saw the trick behind some crazy kind of magic. It's interesting. It is to us, but for the cult of Oyashiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory. Of course. If Takano-san's theory is correct, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god. And the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what dethroning God would mean. So, if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oyashiro-sama would be completely lost. That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Mio-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that, she was killed. So that must mean she identified it! Maybe she did. But she's gone, and she didn't say anything about that in her scrapbooks. That's the only reason I can think of, though. But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard about anyone discovering a weird parasite like that. I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet, But, in fact, there is evidence that there is some kind of parasite involved. What? Really? When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells, eosinophil... Oh, God. Why are you taking me back to school here? Eosinophils and macrophages try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin, I think that was at some point more than a couple times. So I did it, and I'm going to say I did. IgE. The most common way of checking if a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of IgE in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites, like randomly going crazy and murdering each other. They don't have any allergies. IgE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill this pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stops secreting these chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody result, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of IgE, doesn't display allergic reaction. My God. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of IgE because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. As a result, a large amount of stimulants, like histamine, will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete IgE. As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions. That's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your IgE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. Didn't you just... In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you could cure your hay fever by moving here. Oh... I'm getting dizzy. So we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence. Oh, I'm dizzy from that conversation. Yes, that's right. That's true. The scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers in Oyashiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence. Yeah. It poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san. This really is a scary secret. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me. Oh, come on. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me, but if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it really would have sounded too crazy to believe. I told you! I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't. So, what's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try and cover up the truth, right? Yes. That's the most important thing. The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god. The power of their god is the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current-day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's been through a process of natural selection and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of a god. So a harmless endemic disease means that the god is powerless. That means the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely, the harmful, strong version of the parasite. Wait a second! These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite. But you're saying that they're researching the parasite. That's contradictory, isn't it? I know it is. I think that this research is a secret that only the head of the fanatics is aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands. I get it now. Oh my god, this is even getting crazy. This is getting crazier and crazier. It didn't say in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns. The idiot clinic? Why? The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist the Sonozaki family recruited. Can't be. I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place. And he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease. Hard to believe that the coach we know is capable of doing things like that. I'm sorry. He might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing the research somewhere. That much is certain. And after 5 years, that research has finally been completed. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the damn construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, the aggression and delirium, might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery. But there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence of the observation deck that they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. The Shinto priest died from a disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of a shock because of a hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Hojo Satoshi's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. What about you, Nana, huh? What about you lately? In the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease, described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victim a delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama. After 5 years of research. Komitake-san is the victim of the 5th year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa, and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist even though it wasn't very strong, and it made me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless. but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Oyashiro-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence, Oyashiro-sama, that I was instilled with when I was little, and I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onigafuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as the acts of God. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people in South America used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience, and that they called it a ritual to communicate with their gods. So, what are the fanatics trying to do? So what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa. I think that's their goal. But I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies. So if they created what they wanted to create, and if they decide to spread it, I think they'd name it the Day of Oyashiro-sama's Revival or something, and they'd perform some kind of ceremony. What about the Great Hinamizawa Disaster? It would be in celebration of the revival of Oyashiro-sama. That's a bad thing, isn't it? I think you can say that because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen. Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is very bad. This is bad. They used it on Tomitake-san, confirming that they succeeded in duplicating the curse of Oyashiro-sama, so the day of revival might be really soon. I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or it might take a year. Oh. Oh. This is way out of your league, Nana. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report it to the police. You think they will believe us? It's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them. Eiichi-kun, telling Oishi-san about all this means telling him that I have the scrapbooks. Do you think that would be a problem? Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out that her scrapbooks were missing. They also know that she met me at the library a few days ago. No way. You mean... Yes. Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Oishi-san thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me that he didn't tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonozaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side, and he's actually their minion. But the police are our only hope. Eiichi-kun, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Satoko-chan's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but police fingered a drug addict as the murderer, and I went ahead and blamed Satoko for it for some inexplicable reason because I am a goddamn monster. I went ahead and blamed her. Rena did it. What do you think about that? Some of the fanatics are with the police. They fabricated the murderer? It's the same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from disease, and the inspection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard from Michan that they also have considerable power over the many organizations in Okinomiya, right? Yes, I have. Not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city. That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here. No, please! I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all this? Does that mean Mion is involved too? Please tell me. I don't know if Mi-chan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all three families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the three families or if the three families are the fanatics themselves. As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying? Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Mi-chan. She's usually very reliable, and I'd ask her for help with any problem. But not this one. This one is a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Mi-chan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very, very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about this. If she was on her side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm why she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't? So how are we going to fight against them? Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. Well, that's helpful. That's why I didn't want to get you involved. Damn it! Takano-san left us a big parting gift, didn't she? Sorry to keep you waiting. But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will. 2 kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village. This is gonna be tough. Ordinary methods won't work. But, Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together. Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend. I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring. 2 heads are better than 1. Yeah, I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again, but I'm going to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She is sometimes very perceptive. Okay, I'll act normal, as if I know nothing. So normal. Damn! I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and it might be counting to 0. Ready to go, count 0. Kamen Rider Agito. It's hard to act normal knowing that. I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, if they really are religious fanatics, they need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any event other than Watanagashi. So you're saying that we have a time until at least until the next Watanagashi festival? I can't promise, but I just can't think of any event other than that. I think we have a year at least. But I also feel like we don't because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of OYASHIRO-sama's revival. They're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and that might and that day might be just around the corner. You know, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon. It's getting late. Nah, that's not the dad. Hey, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon. It's getting late. My father stuck his head out from the living room, telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think your own parents will be on your side no matter what. But I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father and get to me. Get me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school. Okay. See you tomorrow. Careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore. Yeah, I'll be careful. I remembered the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill run through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. Rena is right. If Rena is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. I had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must sense danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, that they were merely observing, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something like going to the police. Not if they're with them. If all they're doing is just watching her from a distance. But all they're doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself that there was no going back, and I put the phone down. The next day, Rena came to school, acting normal, like she said she would. She talked with Mion as cheerfully as she always did. It made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was ridiculously crazy. Too ridiculously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease. And there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so that they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said. Additionally, I have this sudden urge to just take everything I see home with me. Truly, I have been influenced. But thinking about it with a cool mind. Under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me is based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to the story, I'll give you that, but... He looked at Mion. Yes. Hello, Mion. You'd see me looking at you on this fine summer day, Mion. Your fine green hair in its ponytail, Mion. Do you see that, Mion? She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved with some crazy conspiracy. Hey, are you listening, Kei-chan? What? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for reacting too slowly. Almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. I know it. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. She wouldn't. And it told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them. But it might be worth telling her without letting Rina know. Oh, of course, there's at least a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. Ha ha! Doomed. Doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, the answer would be obvious. It would be. Yeah, I mean, come on. How can I not? I know that my friend, Mion, isn't a part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved with something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. So, whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about it. I like how... If I brush aside that I'm mad at him for just letting Rena completely destroy Satoko back at the dump, I gotta give Keiichi props, not crops. Gotta give him props for not going back on the whole we are gonna help you hide these bodies and just move on with it. Because he seems to have like totally just wiped from his mind that, oh yeah, Rena's a fucking murderer. What's going on, Keiichi? Why did you call me out here? Oh god, I bet in her mind she's like, oh my god, he's gonna confess. You told me not to tell anybody. You're not going to extort money from me, are you? Yeah. Is that the first thing you think of when you're called out to the gymnasium storeroom? Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't you? People usually use the shoe locker for that, you know? We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over their love letters in person. Really? Oh, Keiichi, you fool! You fool! No! No, no, no! 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 What are you doing? You're leaving it alone! No! So wait, you're are you oh, that hurts. That hurts. Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I have to talk to you about something very important. Oh, that hurts. I want you to listen without making fun of me. What is it? You know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama. God, pour me on! Pour me on! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! This poor girl, she's like... She's teasing him, then she's like, wait, oh my god, really? And then, oh, this shit! Oh, this poor girl! Oh god! I shouldn't have put this off. Huh? What are you talking about? This, of course, was just my way for getting a feel of the situation. Strokes imaginary mustache. Detective Keiichi is on the case. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, I mean, she could be, or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything. Okay, okay, just fucking go for it, Keiichi. Mion, your family, the Sonozaki family, has a lot of influence in this region, including Hinamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama behind the scenes? Revive? Why? Well, you know, people today don't worship Oyashiro-sama like the people in the old days did. So people like fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Oyashiro-sama in the same way as the people of Onigafuchi. What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure? You really have no idea what I'm talking about? Of course I don't. It sounds like one of those popular novels that sold 5 million copies over in America. Huh? That suddenly rings a bell. I kind of want to Google it. Is that's something there? Something there. 5 million copies. Mid-2000 popular novel. America, cult, revive, religion. Oh right, I forgot to put novel. Oh no, I didn't. Novel. Let me just put Higurashi reference Tsumihoroboshi 5 million copies. References in When They Cry, okay. I don't think this is it. Oh. Most of these are Umineko. That doesn't help me. Miscellaneous. Okay, I just read something that has nothing to do with what we're reading right now. Okay, anyway. Where the fuck? Oh, well. No dice. Oh, I bet my face got all funky while I was doing that. Of course I don't. Oh wait, I know. I'll tweet it and see if by the time I finish streaming, anyone knows what the heck this was talking about. Sorry for this brief delay. Screenshot. Reading Higurashi Sotsu, Chapter 9 here. This sounds what is beyond referencing something here? It strikes a chord, but I could just be overthinking it. I mean, if she is, it'd be something from, what, like 10 plus years ago? Yeah. At least. Alright, sorry about that little, sidetrack. Oh no, my face probably got fucked again. Let's do that. It seemed impossible that she was pretending or she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village. For real. Do you know anything about them? You're saying that those people want to make us worship Oyashiro-sama like the people of Onigafuchi did. What good will that do? You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe. But think about it, Kei-chan. Who would be happy to live under those strict ancient rules? In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But, for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say she's a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics and... Are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic. But believe me, there really are people who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama. It's true, it's true, it's true. Okay, I'll believe you for now because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out that the curse of Oyashiro-sama was just an endemic disease unique to this village, so now they're researching the pathogen. Where? First of all, what's an endemic disease? That's such a real answer! What's a pathogen? They sound gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and I believed everything she said. But having said it all out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded. What's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you all this? How did you know? He's infamous for this kind of thing. He's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people have gotten badly taken in by her before. He told me some of her stories once, and I remember they were actually very interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard this once or twice before, but this village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of other cruel traditions. They're well known among occult maniacs. Mio-san is one of them. So, the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was... What? Parasite? Is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean, new story? I told you, Mio-san is an occult maniac. He studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuchi and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, and wild stories up about them. He's created a lot of different ones aside from that theory that parasites are controlling the village. One I heard an awful while back was about UFOs. For real? I kind of want to hear that version of Higurashi. That one was interesting since it connected a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed into Onigafuchi Swamp long ago. The alien that was in the UFO and the villagers had a battle or something like that. It was one of those sci-fi horror B-movies. Are you calling out... Ryukishi, are you calling out theories right now? Is that what you're doing? The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. Movement in the Earth's crust opened up a connection between that underwater world and Onigafuchi, and the princess of the underworld fell in love with a young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. What? The story about the parasites that you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. Mion began laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing like that, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I had been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mion, but please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama exist? No, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families have agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make this village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anybody about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. Holy shit! If all goes well, this whole area will flourish. My grandma is betting she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices in the region to skyrocket. There you go, Leo. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. So, you don't think there are people who hate outsiders? I told you, there are no such people. What makes you think we want to make this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build country residences here. Oh! Oh! This is it! They're talking! Your house is on the first lot we sold, Keiichi. My jaw actually dropped. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Wow. Didn't the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village. There was nothing vague about what Mion had said. Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. Oh. And so Mion's words woke me up from that delusion. So, what about this? I heard that the residents of Hinamizawa have extraordinarily high levels of something in their blood, and it proves that they're infected by parasites. Really? How did Mio-san figure that out? Takano-san is a nurse. I'm sure she can do that. And you think anyone would give her blood samples for no reason? Because I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do you think she examined all by herself? Mion was right. Well, no, now you're kind of dismissing the whole... I think Reina did have a fair point about the whole giant EDA clinic thing. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all that just because she was a nurse. But that's not what Reina said! Now you're being dumb! It struck me hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that without any help. But now you're just like... Okay, no! That's not... When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story as easily. But Keiichi, you baka! I heard that the people here don't get hay fever, which is proof of their being infected by the parasite. Only people in cities get hay fever. I heard it has something to do with fuel emissions. Hey-chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think. Oh, what about this? I heard that the Sonozaki family has a death squad and that they oh no! Oh no, that one! Unless it's not true? Are we about to hit a tonal shift? I'm very curious now. As a death squad and they kidnapped the grandson of a government minister was. Ha 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 ha! That sounds cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Ha 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 ha. Then did that not happen? Or it did, but me on what? Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because then it looked so very serious. It's true that the grandson of a minister was found in Takatsudo. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we... This sounds familiar. What do you mean? Please explain. Okay. The Onigafuchi Guardians protested violently during the damn conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there were people who used the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of the Onigafuchi Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very regressive force at that time. There's a high possibility that some people thought they could use the name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were Onigafuchi Guardians. They kidnapped the boy to demand a high ransom. To tell you the truth, the members of the Onigafuchi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed that those guys actually pulled it off. I remember they even said they'd give them an award. Wait a second, so the Onigafuchi Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? Nope, not at all. Mion said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer which left no room for suspicion unless she's lying, but is she not lying? And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation wasn't so easy that it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt. It's not like your dad is Yakuza. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the kidnapping case. What do you mean by that? This is a secret precept of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell any about this, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's a tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it works out in our favor. It can be a criminal incident, the weather, or even lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. It starts to sound like we're a very powerful organization, doesn't it? That's the point. This is the secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family heads know about. This strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. And now that you know this strategy, Kei-chan, we have to get married, so you too can be a Sonozaki family head. I'm afraid it's the rules. Wow. Wait, what? So, what about the plan they had during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction. Was that true? I heard that they obtained weapons and even trained for it. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe that we were capable of doing things like that so we could exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through training just so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense, and it sounds way more like Mion than actually doing any of it. Of course it did! It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use common sense. Even if they did, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and the training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through training. We needed to do that in order to make the bluff look real. Gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai-san as a leader of the group. We went to a Oh shit, she really did go! Oh shit! We went to a desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Francisco afterwards. Holy shit! So I couldn't think of anything else. No, and then maybe that's where she freaking picked up her love of foreign games too. Was that a clue this whole time? I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. No, Rena and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano-san's delusion. Rena was so serious about it, so I believed her, but if you examined it closely, there were so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Also, people did attack her, you baka! Then she came across this tall tale, and she believed it. Rena is a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to school during lunch break. Oh! The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Wait, what? Hello, I'm from the Okonogi. Oh, no. See, this is the part where you should have fucking told Mion. This is where you fucked up, Keicha. Hello, I'm from the Okonogi Gardener. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? It sure is. By the way, you look very beautiful today, as always. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The quote in the invoice, I see. The date is left blank on both of them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Chie-sensei with a big smile. What could it mean? What are you doing here, Mayabarka? Oh, principal, who is that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window. Oh, this is his... When I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. They're gardeners. Remember, principal is a manly man. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Mr. Principal. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need. I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously. Hey! It's dangerous out here! Go back to your classroom. It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope with the documents in it to the principal. It said Okonogi Gardeners in green on the envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it off at their office next time you go to town hall. Of course. Will do. Chie-sensei, did they come here yesterday? Yes. They came here to look at the grass late in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. Well, this village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere, and they can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about when she got lost, and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday, because of what Anna had told me. At first, I thought it's not unusual to see a white man. It's not unusual to see a white man. But then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road, and I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Inamizawa, and they got lost trying to take a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around? I believed that fake-sounding story. I believed that the Sonozaki family was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Of course, I doubted Mion, my apparently fiancé now. Damn it! I'm such a fool. Uh-oh, those are words you can't say, Keiichi. She's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. With me as the dad and her as the mom, I guess, and Nana as the... Well, she doesn't have to be in the family, honestly. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway. Okay, Keiichi, I don't like where you're going here. Nana was the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. Please handle this with care, Keiichi. I had to hurry and wake her up. No, don't hurry. Do this calmly. And it seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonozaki family are the masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy. Oh dear. This is not going to end well. Keiichi, what are you going to do to fuck this up? I remembered the plate of the number of the white van, and I also remembered their faces. Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that has been following me. So far, I've confirmed that 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. The people who were in the other cars must be the lookouts, and the ones in this van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in this van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbook said that too. If so, I'd better watch out because it was them, not the lookouts, who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of their covert operation now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. It looked like they were talking with Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of their conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and the movements of their mouths, and I played my memory of it like a videotape in my mind. Hello! Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? It sure is today. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. I see. Is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. All right, we'll. I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind, and also paused it and played it in slow motion again to check it many times. Then something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt that they're acquainted with Chie-sensei, but I've never seen them visit this school before. It's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under the direct control of the Sonozaki family. They have the local accent, which proves they were chosen from the Sonozaki Corps. The death squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who's Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa's school was closed and it was merged with the one in Okinomiya. But the Onigafuchi Guardians didn't accept that, and they made a part of the Forestry Service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher. So it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children, and she came to work there. That was Chiedumiko-sensei. So it was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired and they don't get demoted. They can work up until the official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education and came to work for Inamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Sonozaki Oryo herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Sonozaki Oryo as a teacher to work for at the school the Onigafuchi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Oryo before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Inamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person of this region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means this school has been under the control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is acquainted with the death squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I could say him to school today, made a phone call and called them here. I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class was over. But they came into school premises. This is why I'm pretending to be a fool, Yugurena. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard and calm down, Yugurena. What will they try to do to me today in school? School? Oh shit, is this happening today? Are we there? Is it time? In school. How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last of class of the day. What about my clubmates? That's easy too. Chie-sensei can easily make them go home early using her authority as teacher. No! She can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom is going to have carpentry work done today, so she can't stay in school. So they can't stay in school. It sure is to you today. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. See? There's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else? Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. And I see. Is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie-sensei an envelope with some documents in it. That blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why is it left blank? What does that mean? I told you, Ryugurena. Do you still think that nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that. So what it must mean is that it's an order from higher up. It says to make Ryugurena become blank. I took a peek from the shadows, and I saw the principal taking documents out from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked very serious. I wished I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all. And then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said Okonogi Gardeners. It had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. Apparently not good hearing, but I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage operation. It probably doesn't even exist. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone, and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. The fools. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go into the teacher's office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over the phone number in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch-tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, "Is this the Okonogi Gardeners?" I'd wait for the answer before hanging up. It should be easy. It connected. "The number you dialed is..." I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I know I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back at any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly. But I needed to make absolutely sure. The number you dialed is... It's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okonogi Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad. Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is... I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Yugurena. Calm down, Yugurena. Stay cool, Kulinare. Yugurena. I wasn't safe here anymore. If stayed here, might be erased, even in open, They'd erase me. Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday I told them I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking a dubious stew. That's a line. I love that. There was only soup in my brain. I cut up clues, information, and facts just like I cut vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface, and others were on the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun is on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There was no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong, pure heart. He promised me he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He is the only one I should trust. He's the only one who is on my side right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I doubted Keiichi-kun, the only person who is on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not even matter to them. Erase anyone who is suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oyashiro-sama's arrival might just be around the corner. And that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oryo, Sonozaki Oryo saying that. Picture? No, she did say that! That's why they're here today! What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school is over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped from the net, I was in the pond. Their own pond. They owned the pond. Oh, I didn't stand a chance. And what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I didn't know how to fight them. I didn't know who's on my side. I was about to give in to despair. But now I'd have to think about how to survive this, so I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chie-sensei I left school early? I shouldn't let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead them to chase after me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school is over, but I happened to feel sick and left school early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Chie-sensei, take a look at this. Take a look. Something wrong with the documents? Yes. The date on the quote and the invoice are left blank. They're supposed to put today's date here. Oh, they wanted to leave them blank. They said they couldn't put the same date on the quote and the invoice. They're told to leave them blank by General Affairs. Oh, okay then. And the phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which is the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice that. Hello, excuse me. Yes? What's the matter? The phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Which is correct? Oh! It's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used to use at our former office. I'm sorry about that. I told our part-timer to write a stamp with the new phone number, but I guess she forgot. I apologize for the confusion. Can you just erase the number? Da, da, da. Ho, ho, ho. Mary Watanagashi. You have received new tips. Lunch takeout list number 3. Fish in a pond. You new tips. The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, in the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. And it's believed that as a result of the accumulation of immense, understandable form, a delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting signs. Of course, it's at a very mild level, not causing hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in daily life, but they usually ignore it automatically. Recognition means those delusions are not. However, there are cases where these delusions accumulate despite being concrete. It largely depends on the characteristic of the individual. It's believed the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're very much aware that primary delusions are categorized in different kinds. Delusional mood is the feeling of impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition is the feeling of a sense of duty or goal without basis. Delusional perception is the feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it's believed that these incomprehensible delusions accumulated, acted out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome, and it ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusion to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusion system induces understandable secondary, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal. No change in their personality. The patients are unaware of their own ailment, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult for a third party to point out they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of the delusion, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult were deeply influenced by the cult founder's paranoid vision, which shifted the group into a conspiracy delusion that made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should be able to make a full recovery. Please make sure that her father also understands that this is not an unusual case, but something caused by an accumulation of a number of innocent factors anyone could have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. For the reasons above, if the patient
is to return to her home village. I strongly recommend that the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. Farewell.